Okay, Alabama, a lot of that is based on reputation and coaching. But Georgia has beaten the number 3 team in the country on the road, and Mississippi State, they throttled, who's a top 16 team in the college football playoff rankings. How can you say we don't know about Georgia?
Well, a couple reasons. One is we don't know about the whole SEC conference. Like I think reputation, I get it. At the top they've been, the kingpin in college football for the majority of the last decade. But the middle of the conference, we don't know how good Mississippi State is. I just think that you could talk about those things in a reality standpoint and say, we're not really sure. I look at Jake Fromm, who I love. He's an Elite 11 quarterback, came up through high school. We knew he was going to be special, but he's still a true freshman. I'm excited to see him this weekend. I'm excited to see him the last couple of weeks when it gets hard. I just don't think that it's a lead pipe cinch like it was last year, for instance. You knew Clemson and you knew Alabama were the 2 best teams in the country. And I think, everybody from experts or novices would be able to say, yeah, I get that. This year, I just think it's too hard. I get the win over Mississippi State and clearly impressive, but I look at the SEC as a whole, and I don't say to myself, wow, this is a dominant conference in so many different areas. And I don't know if you could say that about a lot of conferences right now. I think each of them have their strengths in different areas, right? The Big 12 and what they do on offense. Obviously, that's a strength. It's the Big 10, and I'm not really sure. It's obviously they play pretty sound football in that conference, but you couldn't say that there's a dominant team based on what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, right? Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin. We'll kind of see what happens there. So I don't think that the parity in college football is I think the parity in college football is there. I think it's there in every conference this year more than it has been in the last probably 5 years of major college football, including the SEC.
Yogi Roth joins us from the Pac-12 networks. So does that mean you're kind of not buying on Notre Dame? Because Georgia did go to Notre Dame and win. You're not quite buying on the Irish being that good?
No, I think the Irish are probably the most physical offense in the country. You look at their offensive line, obviously the left side of it, guys are going to play for a while on Sunday. Brandon Wimbush, another guy who came through the Elite 11 process, being challenged to pass. He had to do it last week and clearly proved that he can. I think he's a gifted player. I remember talking to some of the quarterbacks who were at Notre Dame in the past, and they said, hey, man, we had to leave. We knew how good Brandon was going to be, and talking to Deshaun Kaiser, he was tongue-in-cheek, but he knew how talented Brandon Wimbush was going to be when he got his opportunity. And to me, they are one of the top teams in the country. I completely agree with that. And the win, look, by Georgia was impressive. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I think so often in college football we make arguments one way or the other based on one game. And that's fair to a certain degree, but I think when you look at the whole body work all season long, I don't think there's been a team in college football that's just been ridiculously dominant. To me, if I had to look, my top teams right now, if all things are equal and you're healthy, I look at Clemson. They've been one of the most impressive teams in the country this year. And I get the Syracuse loss, and that still matters. It's why they're ranked where they are. But they've been one of the more complete teams I've seen around the country, as has Georgia to a degree, but you're still dealing with the first-time quarterback. And we saw it here in Southern California when Josh Rosen was a true freshman. We saw it when a lot of guys come in as true freshmen. With Jacob Eason last year. Their firsts are their first, and I just believe in that. So often you can't replicate the scenarios, the attention, the pressure, the type of spot throws you have to make in November when it's late in the ball game. And I just don't think that I could sit here, and I think it'd be hard for anybody, even if you're curious what Gary Danielson even said when you had him on earlier, but to say, okay, this team, whether it's Georgia, Notre Dame, Alabama, they're just a lock. We know how well they're going to play here on out. I think this year more than any, it's as hard to give that answer of who are the top teams in the country and who we expect to play the most consistent over the last few weeks of the season.